where she was trying to follow the lead and the narrative that had been put out there from people that love to play the victimhood Olympics, right? Talking about Caitlin Clark fans, calling them racist, yada, yada, yada. So she's on the Indiana Fever. Looks like she can play some ball. I don't know what the influence is here. Is somebody, Lexi Hall, Sophie Cunningham, is somebody...
Raven Johnson calling Caitlin Clark the GOAT has sparked a sharp and hostile reaction from a portion of her former fan base, and the fallout has been swift. The comments directed at Johnson following the clip have ranged from accusations of performing for an audience to outright vile language, with some responses using dehumanizing framing that drew widespread condemnation. The speed at which certain corners of the internet turned on Johnson was notable, with the same people who once positioned themselves as her supporters dropping that support entirely the moment she publicly aligned herself with Clark.
Is Aaliyah Boston, who played at South Carolina. Is something trying to bring this to somebody trying to bring this team together? My buddy Ben Daniel, he believes it might be Sophie Cunningham. Wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me. All right? Sophie is sort of the branch between one side of the fandom and the other side of the fandom. That's pretty logical, actually. So, some video has emerged of
the debate around whether Johnson's comments reflect a genuine shift or a calculated brand move has split observers. One argument is that Johnson, now a member of the Indiana Fever, is making a smart and pragmatic adjustment. Positioning herself favorably with the Clark fanbase makes sense from a visibility standpoint, particularly with her own merchandise coming up.
Caitlin Clark out here on these practice streets shooting threes. Got to tell you, Stephanie White, better start letting this young lady play in the fashion and in the manner she needs to play in to be successful. You know, Stephanie White ought to be careful. She got the chance to blow the mother of all opportunities, maybe in sports history at this point.
The other read is that her time around teammates like Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, and Aaliyah Boston has genuinely changed her perspective, pulling her away from the more divisive narratives she had previously engaged with. Sophie Cunningham has been specifically identified by some as a possible bridge figure between different sides of the locker room and different parts of the fan base, a role that would fit given her existing relationships across the roster. On the court, practice footage of Clark has been circulating, showing her draining threes with her usual form, which has generated its own wave of positive reactions.
So, we got Caitlin Clark coming down here shooting some ball. Oh. Okay. Caitlin Clark knocks down a three. Raven Johnson. And look, I'm very aware that this is Indiana Fever media.
The question being raised alongside that footage is whether the coaching staff will structure the offense in a way that consistently puts Clark in positions to succeed. The concern is that mismanaging a talent of her level would represent one of the most significant missed opportunities in recent sports history.
The social media putting this out. You got her calling Caitlin Clark the GOAT. A lot of people have noticed this. We don't know what the motive is. Part of it could be, boy, if I can bring in those Caitlin Clark fans, if I can get those CC fans, oh, I got some shoes coming out, I reckon, pretty soon. Or is it a true change of heart? Is it getting...
The reaction to Johnson's GOAT comment is being read as a stress test for her public standing. She built a certain audience on specific narratives, and departing from those narratives has cost her that audience almost immediately.
Away from the radical narrative that somebody like Dawn Staley likes to put out there all the time into the atmosphere. I mean, Dawn Staley, they literally, canceled a basketball game over a fake racist volleyball hoax a couple of years ago. A Duke basketball player made up some racist BS about, I think it was a BYU player or somebody like that. It was all fake.
Meanwhile, Fever fans who were previously skeptical of her are beginning to warm up, though that goodwill comes with its own conditions. Johnson made pointed comments about Clark's fan base earlier in her public profile, and some within that fan base are not ready to move past it quickly, regardless of what she says now.
Dawn Staley literally canceled a game over it, I believe, if I remember correctly. We shot that video, put it over on Black and White Sports. But this is interesting. Raven Johnson has a chance to try to change the narrative. And we're watching. Is this legit?
What the episode illustrates broadly is how little room public figures have to evolve when their audience has invested in a fixed version of them. Johnson is being pulled in opposite directions simultaneously, criticized by her former base for shifting and not yet fully embraced by the base she is shifting toward.
Or is it not? We love Cece and all on the Indiana Fever as long as we don't have to deal with any drama. The Bulls won when they supported Jordan. Raven Johnson was awesome last Saturday. Excited to watch her in action. She called her the GOAT. Some people are not going to like this. Well, that's a...
Whether her performance on the court this season ultimately defines her reputation more than any of this social media noise remains to be seen. But right now, the space she is navigating is unusually hostile from multiple directions at once. Angel Reese returns to Chicago for a preseason matchup between the Atlanta Dream and the Sky, her first time facing her former team since a departure that generated significant public attention.
Is got a pandemic of players across the entire league that do not want to take responsibility for their actions, things they say. They don't want to be held accountable. They feel entitled. The whole league is rampant. It's not just Angel. It's not. But she blames the media. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's start here because tonight is the game, and she has made comments about playing.
Reese spent 2 seasons with Chicago after being selected in the first round of the 2024 draft and quickly became the face of the franchise. The team finished 10-34 last season, missing the playoffs for the second consecutive year, and the situation deteriorated late in the year when Reese publicly criticized aspects of the roster, leading to a suspension and what most observers characterized as a broken relationship with teammates and the front office.
Is the game, and she has made comments about playing against Chicago and heading back to Chicago. Angel Reese claims there is no bad blood. Well, she's the ones that said the bad things. Ask the teammates, the former teammates, if there's any bad blood. Angel's the one that ran her mouth. Why would she feel like there's any bad blood? I mean, she really?
Her pre-game comments described the return as just another exciting opportunity and insisted there is no bad blood. The Chicago front office, widely criticized during her tenure, had a notably active offseason and assembled a more competitive roster heading into 2026, which adds some irony to the reunion narrative.
I mean, she really? Seriously? Wow. Quote, no. It's just another exciting opportunity for me to be in Chicago. I love my experience in Chicago. It was amazing. Seeing a lot of familiar faces on Wednesday is going to be good to see. Ain't none of them want to see you. None of them. Had to get rid of you to actually put players on that team. I mean, seriously. Of course, that doesn't mean her exit from...
Separately, Reese appeared on a podcast earlier in the week and addressed her relationship with the media directly, stating she would rather absorb league fines than engage with press situations where she feels uncomfortable. She framed the media as having been difficult for her throughout her career.
Her exit from Chicago was without drama. Reese spent her first 2 seasons with the Sky after being selected in the first round of the 2024 draft, quickly becoming the face of the franchise. But as the team struggled, finishing 10-34 last year and missing the playoffs for the second straight year, tensions began to surface. At one point late in the season, Reese publicly criticized aspects of her team, which led to a suspension and internal friction.
The comment generated its own reaction, given that Reese has received substantial and largely favorable coverage across her 2 professional seasons, including significant platform sharing with Caitlin Clark storylines that elevated her visibility considerably beyond what her team's win-loss record would have otherwise produced. The broader accountability question is straightforward.
Internal friction. The situation snowballed into what many viewed as a fractured relationship between Reese, her teammates, and the front office. So it's going to be interesting to see how she's going to be viewed. Do I suspect there's going to be Angel Reese fans in attendance that's going to go goo-goo and gaga over here? I would guess. I would guess there will be. Yeah, that won't be shocking. But that Sky, look, everybody was dogging out.
The public criticism of teammates, the subsequent suspension, the internal friction, those are documented events with a paper trail. Attributing the fallout primarily to media framing rather than the original statement sits uneasily alongside that record.
That Sky, look, everybody was dogging out the Sky front office until that boy Jeff got to cooking this offseason. And he's got to cooking, got throwing some spices in there. Get a little peppers in there and some Tonys, put some Tonys on it, some slap your mama, and next thing you know, Chicago looks like they got themselves a pretty good squad. A pretty competitive squad. And by the way, this is all going to lead to...
Whether the Atlanta situation unfolds differently will be the more meaningful test. The Dream have constructed a roster with better spacing and shooting around Reese, which addresses a genuine structural problem from her Chicago years.
And by the way, this is all going to lead to everybody having a microscope on the Chicago Sky and the Atlanta Dream. If the Atlanta Dream stumble after Angel has been acquired, that's going to be a massive story. That's going to be a massive, continuous story. If that team implodes, there will be no escaping it for Angel then. At all. Regardless of what her fans want to try to do, AR5, all that.
If the fit works, the basketball argument for the move looks sound. If it doesn't, the scrutiny will be considerably harder to redirect.
AR5, all that. Angel, keep Angel out of your mouth. Nobody cares about y'all. Stop it. Angel Reese willing to accept fines for not talking to the media because I'm going to blame everybody but me for my actions. By the way, of course, she made these comments on a podcast with a Michelle Obama. Big Mike himself. Oh, Lord. The 2-time All-Star is determined to not repeat her past mistakes in Atlanta, even